Thank you for joining us for a special stream on Friday of the Nick and CJ show. We just had some topics, Nick, that was too hot to let this day go by. So we were like, yeah, no, we gotta hop on and do something. But anyway, but what's up, Nick, on this Friday?
Yeah, you guys may see this every once in a while, where you guys get this extra Nick and CJ Friday episode. You guys know I've been testing a lot of time slots out, but there was so much stuff to talk about. Like I hit CJ up, like man, we gotta do a show today. So this should be a good one. This should be a good one. So much stuff to cover. And one thing on revolutionary blackout, and I do this all the time on Twitter when I talk to comrades, when I talk to people who are anti-establishment, pushing leftism, pushing anti-capitalism, whatever you want to call it, right? We need to do a better job at reframing things. We were just talking about this not too long ago, reframing the issues, and this is kind of the weakness that you see out of the U.S. left, who we like to call the old guard, the old left, and they would have concessions. They wouldn't even know it. They would have like small concessions to the establishment, like democratic socialism. That's a concession to anti-capitalism. Sorry, that's a concession to anti-communism. And once again, that's just a bigger example. But even in terms of narrative management, how many progressives have you guys seen repeat the DNC nonsense that you can't run on defunded police because that will hurt Democrats down ballot? You see Bernie Sanders say this. I've seen Anna and TYT go on insane rants. Even like Cal, Crystal, they were all like defund. Defund is a bad slogan. And we got another story we're going to do later today that debunks that and get into policing as well. But you see how they always got to concede to the establishment. One last thing I want to say, and I'll pass it to you, CJ, and then we start into the stories. I don't know if you guys saw Anna Consparian's horrific policing take. And it once again is one of the things where if you consider yourself to be anywhere left of center, you shouldn't be repeating the talking points of the capitalists. And that is what she do on policing. Where she's like, oh, we have to have police because I feel she was like, I don't feel safe. There's a homelessness problem. So we gotta have the police, as if the police gonna keep you safe. And I only bring this up because you guys see how there's always this concession to the capitalists that the old left would do, which we will not do. We will not do.
But this is but what you're it's interesting because what you're describing is why we as a what we call the new left, why we decided to break off and call ourselves the new left is for this very reasons. It's the constant or perpetual concessions. This is the very reason why I feel like people on the left felt like this is too much. Like we're done with this bullshit. So it's time for us to separate from what we now call the old guard, the old left. So completely
that's
on
why
board
we had to start. That's why we had to start a Black media channel, because I would watch a lot of these people, and I'm like, man, I can see they're good on a few issues, but it's like when it comes to imperialism, Black issues in particular, and even like poor like issues, right? Because a lot of these people were not really connected. I'm like, man, the coverage is extremely lacking, and even the language they use, everything that you can use to flip people. And this is what I know this because I traveled Black barbershops, give speeches. I talk to many people. I turn many people anti-capitalist. Like the apolitical people in my life, I have they don't like Joe Biden. Like they don't follow politics, but they know that they know he's trash, especially now that I have a platform. And you can easily do this stuff if you know how to frame the conversation. There are a lot of
you notice the things that they choose not to talk about when you were saying they're good on some things. It's always the things that challenge white comfort that they never want to address.
Western chauvinism. And the reason why they don't want to support defund the police because a lot of people like Anna, they're millionaires, so they know it protects their like you said, for lack of a better word, privilege, their money, their power, their status. You never will see the progressive boutique left address those things, right? And these same people, they also struggle to talk to workers. Like these are the same people these are the same people who push red, brown lines conspiracy theories because they think anyone who's conservative, you can't flip.
Right.
And I had a conversation with someone on Twitter. I'm not gonna show you guys the thread. He was one of those red, brown lines conspiracy theory pushers. And I was literally trying to understand where he was coming from. I was like, why would you think it's a bad thing for me to talk to my neighbor, even if he's a conservative, about things like healthcare? And this guy was almost convinced that you cannot flip conservatives. And I started making fun of him. I'm like, wait, you never flipped a conservative before? And he was like, well, conservatives, they'll never. This is with his rhetoric. He was saying, and this is, I'm not gonna call him out. I don't even want to do that because I don't want you guys to dog pile on him. He's a pretty he's not big but decent commie account. He one of these people who they use left language but they don't now communicate it. So I'm like, bro, you know how easy it is to get a conservative to agree on healthcare, to get a conservative to agree on decreasing the police state and decreasing. And then when I bring that stuff up, you're like, no, they would never do that. And I'm like, you just expose yourself. You expose yourself because by you telling me that you can't flip a conservative, you're telling me that you have not done it. Then when I said it, he started backpedaling. Oh,
or he's telling you he hasn't even attempted to do it.
His argument was like, bro, if you're talking to someone who don't agree with you, it's a waste of time. Like, bro, what? So the reason why these people struggle, and the reason why I even bring this up, because a lot of people don't know how to use the right language in challenging the neoliberal establishment. So I know this for a fact because I still see people talk about sanctions as if it's not as bad as hot war. I still see people pretend that, and once again, I condemn what Putin has done, right? But people pretend that that's somehow worse than anything the United States has done, and with sanctions. I'm telling you, I'll condemn it, but in my lifetime, hot war has been way less deadly than Cold War. I'm sorry. Cold War,
the other way around
has been way more devastating for humanity than hot war. And now they will say stuff like, "How can you say that?" Well, if you're getting bombed, okay, let's think about this, guys.
They don't count people starving, just like they're not counting the Afghanis starving. So they don't count that.
So they will say, well, hot war is a particularly horrific way to die. What's the worst way to die than starving from malnutrition? Economic sanctions is worse because when you look at the deaths that have been caused, there's massive amounts of suffering that is involved. I didn't say this article. Maybe I can find it real quick. I think I can because I wasn't planning on covering today. I just want to show you. Here we go. Here, I'm gonna show you guys this to illustrate. We kind of alleviating just a bit, but I'm pulling this up because I read this today. Here, if you guys want to know what I'm talking about. So while you want to talk about Ukraine, I was planning on doing this segment later, but I guess I'll make it a short segment. So the Yemen war turned 7 years old, right? And damn, actually, I gotta find the intercept. I gotta find the intercept version. This is not necessarily the article I was looking for. But anyway, I think this is still good to cover. I was actually looking for an intercept article. But anyway, the Yemen war turned 7. They go over all the fatalities here. I'm gonna read this paragraph here because I don't want to pull this up for no reason. Did not make my point. The partial Saudi blockade of Yemen has led to a massive humanitarian catastrophe. Yemen imports most of its food and medicine, according to the World Food Program. At least half of Yemeni children under the age of 5, 2.3 million people, are at risk of acute risk of malnutrition. The United Nations estimated 377,000 deaths in 7 years. And honestly, guys, I think one of the reasons why a lot of people don't cover Yemen because this is really depressing. I don't like doing it because whenever I look at Yemen and whenever I cover Yemen, it's very heartbreaking. I'm gonna see if I can find this passage.
Maybe that's why. Well, I wouldn't say that's the reason why corporate media doesn't. It's hard. They have a different reason for not covering it.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to cover. It's really, really hard to cover. Yeah, I guess you guys just gotta. Here it is. I found it. I always like to share my work because I read this earlier. I think this is great just to illustrate the point I was making on why we gotta stop pretending that somehow hot war is more acceptable than this Cold War that they call sanctions economic war. So I'm gonna read this part right here. Right, pretty depressing. Trigger warning getting you guys right now. So Dalit is 14, but has the face of an old woman. Her hip bones stick out like tree branches. For the past 3 years, Dalit mother has tried every clinic in Yemen's central Dalmar province to treat her daughter's severe acute malnutrition. 3 years of being malnourished. You guys know how much it sucks to feel hunger pain, right? Now, if you ask me, I'm not.
No, they don't. Americans don't know that. They
Yeah,
absolutely don't, because the hunger you feel because of a meal in one day is not the same thing of not having food for weeks and months. It's a complete. It's a devastating. It is devastating, and Americans, we are so Nick. I have to say this, nigga.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
This shit is terrible. How people just are just okay, or if they don't want to say okay, they're quiet. Like, it's just terrible what's happening over there in Yemen and in Palestine. These are two things that I think about like every day. It's like how is this happening to people, and nobody's saying anything, and we just like, oh, we're like
I get mad.
we have no human rights violations. We're America. Like, really? Like, this is what we really are saying and believing. Go ahead.
I get mad. I've been whataboutism all over Twitter. I've been whataboutism every single stream, because whataboutism is challenging the morals of the liberal establishment. That's what they call whataboutism. Oh my God, you point out our hypocrisy. You're goddamn right. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it.
Is it bad? Is whataboutism supposed to be bad? I was trying, because I looked it up when you talked about it, and I was trying to find out, is this supposed to be a badism? Because whataboutism sounds like we should be saying whataboutism about all the corrupt shit they're doing already. Go ahead.
Whataboutism is bad when you trying to shift personal responsibility. Nick, you're an asshole. I heard you're a misogynist. Well, I heard CJ a misogynist. Then that's when it becomes like, what the fuck you doing? But whataboutism literally has no negatives in politics. You guys understand that, right? No negatives. Okay. So even if you're
I thought it was me.
Even if you're a bad faith actor and you try to use whataboutism, then they will use whataboutism and expose your moral failure.
Right.
I've seen this happen between liberals and conservatives all the time, where they will say, "Oh, look at this corruption that Trump is doing," and then the Trump supporters will say, "Oh, look at the corruption that Hillary's doing." I'm like, "Oh, you guys! I know you guys went in a circle. You guys went in a circle, but you guys did a great service for us because you guys called out each other's corruption to our face. You guys said it out loud. So I would never understand how whataboutism is bad in politics unless you're defending the indefensible, right? If you're defending a corrupt piece of shit like Donald Trump, like Joe Biden, and then you try to whataboutism, I'm like, wait, hold up. How are you going to try to change the subject about Republicans when you're supporting Jim Crow Joe, who is literally governing a food crisis? We're going to get to that very soon. You know, we like to warm up. You know, we like to
I know, because exactly. We have the warm-up session. That's what we're going through right now.
Let me finish the passage, because I think this is the point I really want to drive home. And the reason I'm making this point is because I don't see a lot of people do it. I see everyone agree with me when I bring it up. I'm talking about like anti-imperialist minds. I don't see people making the argument that Cold War economic war is worse than hot war. And the reason why that is important, because we need to end economic war right now. So the same sense of urgency people have to end hot war, we need to stop overlooking that when it comes to Yemen, when it comes to Afghanistan. So I'm gonna finish this passage. This is really hard to get through. Because I'm a soft soul at the end of the day. I mean, I read this, I was like, man, I don't know if I was in. I read this, I don't know if I was even want to report on this because this is depressing. But since it's the topic of conversation, so anyway, this person have a daughter. Well, I'm assuming it. 14 years old, been malnourished for 3 years, to the point where her hip bones stick out. She looked like an old woman. That's what they're saying here. So even the local witch doctor gave up when he saw Dalit's mother carrying the wasting girl in his arms. Now, once again, this is me personally, wasting away slowly over 3 years, and a lot of doctors are saying she's fucked, right? I'd rather you bomb me. That's just me. Anyway, I'm not saying that should be your position, but I'd rather get that shit over.
No, you're just saying a fast. Some people would rather a fast, quick death. If it's going to be painful, you rather the pain be quick than it be strung out. And so we're not minimizing either one. It's just that this is we're just trying to point out that this is a terrible way to die.
At best, I'm trying to get you guys to at least tie economic war to hot war. Just to be clear, not trying to undermine the pains of hot war. I want people to think of them as the same thing. So Dalit developed severe vomiting and diarrhea. Did it sound like a very easy death to you guys? Anyway, I don't want to read it. Like, this shit honestly triggers me. Like, look at this last sentence. She said, "I'm starving," and she was crying, wiggling. That's the last thing I'm gonna read. Like, I literally have a hard time reading this shit. I'm sure a lot of people do, and that's why Yemen is not. That's my guess. I think that's why Yemen don't get covered as much, because it's fucking hard to cover.
And then you have people, Nick, that go on and say, it's not like it's Iraq or Afghanistan. Those people dying. This is the Ukraine. This is Europe. Like this young lady. You said it's a girl, right? This young girl's life doesn't matter. Like, what life? When does she have a chance? Like, when does she have a chance? When did she have a chance, Nick? She didn't even have a chance at life. And it's like, what makes me upset is that knowing that people is like, yeah, you didn't get a chance like Madeleine Albright, but it was worth it. Like, how dare you say that what you want is worth my life?
Hey, CJ,
like,
now that you brought Madeleine
it's disgusting.
Now you brought her up. That story I read, imagine that happening 500,000 times. That is what Madeleine Albright said was worth it. That was what we sanctioned and starved 500,000 Iraqi kids. So that paragraph that I just read you, apply that 500,000 times. Now, do you guys see why RBN has the zero tolerance stance towards lesser to evilism? When I have Howie Hawkins trying to sell, I see someone mention them in the comment.
I'll put it up. Yeah, I saw that. I'll put it up.
When I see like Howie Hawkins trying to explain to me the concept of the lesser two evils, it is quite literally offensive. So when you have Joe Biden starving Yemeni children, and then you had Bill Clinton do that in the 90s, Madeleine Albright, right? So then you have a white dude, an older, pretty much well-off white dude saying, "Oh, the people responsible for this is the lesser two evils." Do you guys understand why this makes me this makes me as upset as anything in politics? That's why I couldn't let him get away with it.
But think about it, Nick. Think about how it connects to white supremacy, that you're saying it's a lesser evil that we're killing those people. That's a lesser evil than them coming over here. You get what I'm saying? Like, pick that. That is okay, because come on. It's like we're getting, and I can't remember what I was reading or listening. I think it was Ajuma. I think he was talking about how Black capitalists have grown to be okay with some of the things that Black people have never been okay with. Like being okay with people being killed in other countries, Black people bombed, and just, like explaining it away. He said he was talking. It was Maju. I think I'll pull the video up, and he was saying how it used to be the Black tradition to be, if you would ask somebody about a conflict in the world, and a Black person would go, whose side is the United States on? Because whatever side they're on, Black people go, I'm on the other side. We don't have that no more. Now it's like, oh, they're Palestinians. You get what I'm saying? Like,
our Black revolutionary leaders.
Yeah, it's just terrible.
Our Black revolutionary leaders would be smeared as tankies today. I mean, quite literally, guys. Quite literally. Yeah. You had W.B. Du Bois. He openly praised Joseph Stalin. You had the Black Panthers openly saying the USSR will constantly coming out for Black people. So a ton of Black activists, a lot of Black Panthers, like, yeah, USSR is based. You know what I mean? So this has always been our history, not siding with the empire. Now, there's no way I can find a video, but I was just watching this while doom scrolling. I was listening to some like U.S. State Department lady describe how Russia is so evil, and it was a Black lady. There was a Black lady in higher places, right? And then she was talking about the evils of Putin. And the whole time I was watching that Twitter video, I was like, you are a tap dancer of the highest order.
Right.
You are the
you've bought into oppressing other people. You know how terrible, how upsetting that is, that an oppressed person has bought in to cheering on the oppression of another people. That is the disconnect that
and it's also
he was speaking of in that video.
It's also the way she was kind of whitewashing our oppressors' crime, because this is a black lady that represents the United States who's pretending that the United States has the moral high ground. So what is that doing? She's essentially whitewashing the crimes of our country done to her own people under the guise of, oh, I gotta represent U.S. interests. You're representing the interests of white supremacy. I watched a clip of the hearing. I didn't watch a ton of this. Maybe during the whole hearing, I maybe watched maybe 2 minutes. Like the Ketanji Brown Jackson trial, and she was in. I think Stabby's covering it. I saw the thumbnail for a video on RBN later today. I see that Stabby's gonna cover the Cory Booker, Ketanji Brown. I was getting those one of the stories I had to debate. Like, am I gonna cover this? I might cover it. I think Stabby's gonna do a good job, but I might have to cover it individually. But the point is, the take I will have. I don't know where Stabby's gonna go with this, but there's a point where Cory Booker was like, this nation has been, like, he was implying, I don't want to quote him, I don't know exactly, but he was implying like this nation has been good to us, despite the fact that we love this country. Our ancestors used to love this country. Our country gave us nothing back, but now our country is giving us something back.
What?
And meanwhile, like, I gotta say, maybe we should do a reaction right on the screen, because like she started crying. She like, yeah, the country, like
what?
It was one black oligarch, one black senator, telling a black judge. So you got one black oligarch that in charge of the legislature.
She started crying?
Yeah, we gotta do it.
She started crying?
I just decided we're gonna watch.
Oh, shit. So, man, I didn't know any of this bullshit. She started crying?
Yeah, I saw it on Twitter. It was like, I literally cringed so hard. It was like, and by the way, you know, white liberals everywhere loved it.
Love that shit. They're eating that up. Oh, they're eating that up. And when they're thinking in their head, Nick, I'm fighting for black community. When they're pushing her, that's what they're thinking. I'm pushing her. I'm fighting for a black community. No, you're not. You're not. You're not. That's what they think.
I gotta find this screenshot. Like, see,
that's so funny.
There's a screenshot that shows how many times that Ketanji Brown Jackson ruled against black plaintiffs. It's like literally like 85% of the time she ruled against black people in a very short term.
Yeah, that's helping us.
I gotta prepare a whole like hour segment.
Maybe we should hold it till Monday. In 2 days we're gonna be back here. In 2 days we're gonna be right back here if you want to really prepare it and take her out.
Maybe we should, because I still see people say that she's good. And once again, what we say earlier, CJ, where people they concede to the establishment. I have seen TYT people, and I'm sorry I keep bringing these people up, but I have to give you guys an example where they was like, well, I'm actually surprised. Ketanji is actually a good pick by Joe Biden because he served as public prosecutor.
What? That is...
I swear to God.
If you would have said public defender, you could have maybe slid by public prosecutor.
Sorry, I fucked up, CJ. They said she was a public defender.
Okay, she was a public defender. I've heard this used many of times. That's why I said they could get, because people will think this, Nick. The reason they use this, because this is what people think. Oh, they were defending the public. No, you understand the public defender is just a show. They're working with the prosecution.
Yes. So I fucked that up, but yeah, people have the fact that she's a public defender all the time. And then once again, we can dive into abolitionist theory. CJ kind of did a little bit of it here. Public defenders are not inherently good. They are good public defenders, but they are not inherently good. For one, also what Ketanji did is obvious. This is what all the judges do, especially black and minority judges. They start out a public defender.
I was just gonna say that.
Ask you guys this question: how long did Ketanji Brown Jackson was a public defender? The answer may surprise you.
15 years, 20 years, 20 years. Because you would do it 20. No, that means you just putting it on a resume. That means you just want that for a resume. Because people who are in it to win it. Oh, I've been doing it for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Like, people who are really seeing that there's a need, and there's a need. There's a need for real public defenders. But like you said, abolitionist theory, inherently, the whole I'm like it's out of the same office. They go to lunch together. They literally are friends. You think the person representing you and you want them to go to fierce battle with your friend you just had lunch with yesterday? It's so bizarre. But I peeped that early.
Look at this joke. I had to find the source because you guys know I always like to back up everything I say, especially on the show. Look at this shit. Jackson held that job from 2005 to 2007. Yeah. 2 years.
Just so they can say she was a public defender.
And then she got promoted to judge, CJ. So, do you guys know what this looks like to me? You became a public defender for 2 years so you can get that job as a judge. Like, oh, I'm on the side of justice.
Right.
That's literally what she has done. And she consistently ruled against black defendants. There was even a story where she sent a man to prison over weed. So when you do that, that's like strike 1, 2, and 3. As in terms of you ever being considered an ally. So anyway, that's my take on. Let's do the first story.
We can get back to the right because I just didn't know all of this crying bullshit.
Oh wait, sorry. I remember my point I was making before we dived into Tommy. Remember the point of the hearing. They was having a hearing, and then they was like, yeah, this country used to reject us. And I'm telling you, this is the premise of the speech. Maybe we can find it. Savvy's gonna be covering it too. But he was like, yeah, the country used to be bad to us, but look at us now. Country loves us now. That's the implication of what
he said. That
that's the implication. Well, he was like, this country made what he was saying stuff like this country made us what we are possible. Well, so the reason I'm bringing this up because you see how you have black faces immediately start popping up this white supremacist country that has robbed our wealth. So the story that Cory Booker was selling was that things have gotten better, but the wealth from the black community has gotten worse. The income inequality has gotten worse in the civil rights era, and that is a fact. There are more black millionaires, but there is a larger wealth disparity between white and black people. What does that tell you? That means black capitalists are doing well, and they sold out our community, right? Freestyle Fridays. I know we've been actually going freestyle for a while, so I think it's a good time. Our warm-up is pretty long.
Right.
I'll put up the first story because we were talking about framing. I think people need to frame the stories and what we see properly. So this is I can't wait to get CJ's take on this. Here's the video from Joe Biden. He's telling you because we need to have an eastward expansion of NATO. We need a militarized, hostile Ukraine that would be stuck in a civil conflict similar to what we promote in other countries, like in Yemen. These conflicts are not going to end, right? So in order to keep this conflict going, which is the goal of the United States, in order to continue the expansion of NATO, we're essentially a weapons selling front to make business for weapon defense contractors. That's why they want to get into Ukraine, right? So what sacrifice is our ruling class asking us to make because of this? You gotta see. This is Joe Biden. I'm gonna let him speak for himself. Let me mute myself. I'll let him speak for himself. This is crazy.
Nothing more to report. With regard to food shortage, yes, we did talk about food shortages. And it's going to be real. The price of these sanctions is not just imposed upon Russia. It's imposed upon an awful lot of countries as well, including European countries and our country as well.
When he said that, I was shocked. I'm like, you're a dumbass. Are you Donald Trump now? I mean, and when I say that, I mean, like, you know how Trump would say the quiet part out loud? He literally said that these sanctions include other countries and our own people. He literally said it. So this is why I want people to start doing. And I'll pass it right to you, CJ. You guys got to start saying that our government is sanctioning our own people. That is what he literally just said. And he said the food shortage is real. So CJ, what's your thoughts, man? This is crazy, right?
I mean, you know what? I'm going to pull up my tweet in a second. But I'm essentially asking the question, Nick, like, is Joe Biden if food shortage, let me just read the tweet actually. Let me share my screen here. Read the tweet. But if food shortages is real, if it's really coming to America, right? If that's really happening, and this is my tweet, if food shortages are going to be real, this may set Joe Biden up to be the worst president, at least domestically, in modern history. He has more COVID deaths. The inflation is highest as ever been in, I think, 40 or 50 years. His BBB plan failed. Now, I'm not an advocate for the BBB plan, but I'm just saying there were things in there that they were saying were great. So by their standards, it failed. $15 minimum wage failed. Now we're talking about food shortages. So not only are we paying more for it, but we're going to be paying higher prices for less food. This makes him the worst president domestically in modern history. Because when you think about Joe Biden, I mean, when you think about George Bush, he's considered one of the worst president in modern history because of what he's done foreign policy wise. Same with well, maybe Bill Clinton. He's rivaling Bill Clinton because Bill Clinton has done a lot of damage to this country. But what say you, Nick, as far as would you consider this, if food shortages really is coming to us, like makes him the worst president domestically in modern history?
I'm asking you guys this. How long until the people who voted for Joe Biden and advocate for the lesser two evils, how long until they start lying? I mean, when people ask them about who they voted for, I think we had the point where people are about to start lying. Well, I didn't vote for Joe Biden. People about to start deleting tweets.
When it hits food, Nick, when they start hitting people like, oh, I don't have food, they're going to be like, oh, I don't want nobody to know I voted for that mother. That's exactly what's going to start happening.
Already seeing people saying stuff like, well, no one actually thought Biden was going to be good. No, nigga, I remember what you guys were saying. I remember because I took the smears on the chin. I'm like, all right, I'm going to just wait because I know my shit going to age like wine. They were saying stuff like, you really going to pass up on canceling student loans? You really going to pass up on the public?
He's not going to do any of that. No, Nick, remember when he used to take screenshots of stuff on his website and say, no, he is doing this. Look, and it's like, we couldn't say anything. We were saying he's never gonna do it. Yes, he is. Now look.
Yeah, those people gonna pretend they never. I love this comment. Now our comment's coming fast. Quietly remove Biden bumper sticker. There's gonna be a lot of progressives who went through this Biden phase. Voss, who was a Biden anarcho-Bidenist, this shit is gonna age horribly. And what CJ saying is on point. And we see what happens with the next president because they never cease to amaze me. But as it stands right now, Joe Biden is easily the worst president in modern American history. Define modern however you want. I go back to World War II, and I say what I say with my chest. And the one motherfucker as bad as World War II.
When I say modern, I usually go back maybe 40 years, 30, 40 years. But if you taking it, he could be. Because you're talking about
modern. Some people consider modern like post World War II era, like the code. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I guess it depends who's defining it. But even if you was to go back to World War II, I would say he's after World War II. He's easily the worst.
Domestically. I mean, but Nick, we got to add this to the conversation. This could be what catapults the revolution. This here. This is the pain that's coming that I tweeted about maybe a year and a half ago. When I tweeted it, it was like during the Bernie's campaign and people thought I was being negative. I'm like, it's not going to be a revolution until more people feel pain. Like all the people at the bottom level who have learned to live with this pain, they can, somebody on unhoused on Skid Row, they can do 2 weeks easily. I mean, this is nothing, this is nothing to them, But I'm saying when it starts to hit those white liberals, you know what I mean? The white leftist media class, when I start hearing Cal Kalinske and I start hearing like Sam Cedar saying, fuck this shit, get into the streets. You get what I'm saying? Like, Nick, when we start hearing Sam Cedar calling for direct action, talking about, hey, when is the next Medicare for All march? Talking about, fuck force to vote on all them bitches. Like, when Sam Cedar starts saying that shit.
Oh, shit. Man, I told you guys, and I remember people was like, "Oh, you're a cellarist. You don't want to vote for Joe Biden. You advocate for a cellarist theory. You want things to get so bad that you can have your revolution. You should be trying to prevent that." I was like, "God, Joe Biden is the cellarist candidate. Joe Biden is that guy. Because at least when Donald Trump is president, like, oh, we got to get the shit out of the White House. Things maybe get better. Nope. Now when people see that Joe Biden is in charge and they saw nothing's getting better, now Pete Buttigieg is next. And so,
goodness.
So he was the sellers candidate. Because another thing, I think the petrodollar, I've been following that. A woman talking about the fall of the petrodollar and how that was drastically reduced the quality of life in the United States. I think the fall of the petrodollar because of Joe Biden is going to be the thing that could lead to revolution. Because unfortunately, like we're Marxists, like we're socialists because we empathetic, right? I want people to live a better life. That's why I'm a Marxist. I think our society, as we have right now, is a failure. I think humanity has wasted all of its potential. We had a ton of potential as a species that we completely wasted because of many things, capitalism being one of them, right? But there are some people who legitimately don't give a fuck. Where as long as there's progress in their life, as long as we the quote unquote no one superpower, they don't care. But what happens to white suburbia when they start seeing the rise of China and Russia? When they see their dollar start to crumble? When the United States lose their prestige, maybe that's what do it. Like it's different motivation for us,
right?
But maybe seeing the empire fall is what make them more likely to hit the street, right?
Right.
So I want to show you. Guys.
That's a great point.
I want to show you guys to take that aged like milk from our president. So there are a lot of excuses going on. Oh my God, the food shortages. Now let's go back to the entire lesser two evils argument. Is it worth supporting Democrats to lessen pain? We all know the answer to that question, but there are a lot of people who are confused. Like, oh, well, at least if we get Democrats, we get incremental change. You guys are not getting incremental change. Things are getting worse. So they understand that everything that we're going through is responsive leadership crisis. So this is what Joe Biden said.
And I saw that.
So he said, we don't have a food shortage problem. We have a leadership problem. Now, that age like milk in terms of him pushing his political prospects and propping the Democratic Party, but I feel like that's the truest thing he ever said. When I say age like milk, I mean like for his agenda. Because now you expose yourself. But what he said is on point. It's not.
Oh, you haven't seen the video? I think there's a video to that.
Yeah, I watched the video.
Yeah, because I can't believe he's on. Yeah, I mean it's slightly different what he's saying, but it is on point where he's basically saying it's to blame you, the guy at the top, bro. But I think he kind of brushed over even in that news conference. He just kind of threw it in at the back. Oh yeah, and it's going to hit other people in the United States. The people in the United States want to hear. Wait, what's going to hit us? And Nick, if you search, we're gonna do it together right now. Let me share my screen. Yeah, if we search, I just want people to see what's happening. If we search, so let's search food shortage. Let's search Biden, right? Let's see what comes up here. Basically, all they have, you'll be hard pressed to find corporate media covering this shit. They basically only play him talking and with no sort of commentary. They play his clip of him speaking and it goes right off. Nobody introduce it. Oh, here is Biden. Nope, they just play him saying his part and then it goes right off the air. They're not even covering it. This is from 5 months ago. This is it. This is all the footage you got, Nick. This is it, Nick. Why aren't they covering this? Nothing. They ain't trying to point out what's coming. They're not trying to point out that America and the petrodollar, this is kind of not connected, but it's all happening at the same time. This war thing that could not be, this instigation of war could not be happening at the worst time and now Russia's talking about taking all their payments in natural gas in rubles. And then Saudi Arabia is talking about accepting the yuan. And then, so the petrodollar is pretty much collapsing. And then you got this shit. Inflation is already high, Nick. This is going to be terrible for people. But like I was saying earlier, Americans need to feel how other people are living in other countries in order for them to wake up. And this, right, exactly. Not even other countries. You're right. Living in the hood. And that's going to wake. So this may be the thing that wake up. This may not wake up a lot of people. I mean, the majority, but if it wakes up another 40 million people, Nick, if it wakes up another 40 million people to the system, to capitalism, just think about what the possibilities of a revolution, a movement, what can we demand? All of those things are real to me. With this coming.
So I have, once again, I guess we can kind of call it just another stream of us debunking the lesser two evils, right? But I think people are done with this shit. This is why the Democrats are gonna be struggling. Like, I can't wait, guys. You guys don't understand how excited I am to watch the progressives try to sell voting for Democrats again. Like, they only had Trump derangement syndrome to rely on last time, and that was their message. But I can't wait to see the pretzels that AOC, Bernie Sanders, TYT. I can't wait to see what they say. Like, what's their pitch to people for 2022? Because now, do you guys know independence is the largest voting bloc right now? For the very first time, ever since Morning Consult has been tracking this, they've been tracking this for 40 years, ever since the 80s. They've been asking people what their party affiliation is. For the very first time, 50% of voters are independents. People are starting to see through this shit. The people who are trying to claw us back to the Democrat Party, just know they're active agents of the duopoly. Do you guys understand? When you get progressives that are trying to tell us to vote for the Democrat Party, they are trying to undo what has already been done. Well, people are leaving the Democrat Party and they see that as a negative. No, we got to get back in. Rein them back in. So I'm going to show you this headline here, which is great. It's great. Hold on, let me... Because this kind of exposes their entire grift here. I got the link now. Let me share it. So all the people who made the argument why we should vote for Democrats in 2022, what they tell you? Oh, we're gonna push Biden left. We're gonna push Biden left, right? So not only do you guys not get a public option, not only do you guys not get this, check this out. He actually doubling down from Donald Trump. All right, there you go. My screen was messing up a little bit. So Dave Schroeder was reporting on this. Huge news. Biden is expanding a Trump program. So when we say Biden, just like Donald Trump, where's the confusion? I'm asking. So anyway, Biden is expanding a Trump program, forcing seniors out of traditional Medicare and into for-profit healthcare plans that limit coverage in medical services. So he's cutting.
This guy's
Medicare.
terrible.
Oh, but tell me more about this lesser two evils that you guys are talking about. But the thing is, Dave Schroeder is extremely frustrating because he reports on this shit, but then he voted for Biden in 2020. Like, so these people know this shit, and then they will still vote. That what I don't get. I don't get that.
It's because it's sort of a recognition that the system is terrible. That you're saying this guy is awful, yet you're being forced in your mind, because of whatever propaganda you fell for, you're being forced in your mind to vote for this terrible person. You get what I'm saying? So
but I would also say, do you guys know how disgusting this is? Like, I'm gonna try and find the word for it. It's really hard. So let's break this down. Our society does not give us health care. Our society is more than happy watching a poor person die because they have cancer. This society, you can call an ambulance and be in debt for God know how long trying to pay that shit off. Thousands of $1,000s for an ambulance ride. But what do the capitalists tell us? Oh man, you young. Shut up, stop complaining. Just wait till you get older and we give you health care. What the Democrats say, hey, we lower the age to 60. We give you some health care 5 years earlier than we would have given you. That's like the best concession they can give us. And they don't give us, by the way. Not only do they not give us that, Biden went to the right from that. Because remember, that was
he wanted to make it 60.
At first he wanted to expand Medicare to age 60. Now he's privatizing it. So our country went from, oh, you're young, shut up, shut the fuck up. I know other countries provide healthcare, but shut the fuck up and get back to work. We give it to you when you get older. So they are lying on that contract. So then when you get older, you see the whole without consent part.
Mm-hmm.
is forcing hundreds of thousands of seniors onto for-profit health plans. So we tell you, wait till you get older till you get health care. Then these people did it. These people got old. They finally got health care. Psych. Psych, motherfucker.
Oh, I don't mean to, no, but yes.
Not good. Do you see how evil that is? Like, that's a different level of evil. Like, that's, and it, like, work your entire life. Same with Social Security. Work your entire life, pay into the system. Oh, by the way, you about to gush it. Now that you about to benefit from it. Even though we could just tax the rich more. You see what I'm saying, CJ? It's so crazy. It's so crazy how they get away with this. And David Schroeder, and I gotta say this, I do like his reporting. This is why he frustrates the shit out of me. Because
Did he do something recently? Did he do something recently?
No,
he's
a Democratic voter. He's a Democratic voter, and he's an advocate of the lesser two evils. And I told you guys why I find that offensive. Like, if you're someone, and I said this many times, if you voted for Joe Biden because you work 50 hours a week, you maybe read one political article a week at best, maybe seeing it. Like, if you're like an apolitical person who like, I still want to vote though, you gotta notice I don't attack those people. I rather educate them. I'm like, you were just misled. I go after the people who mislead these people. So someone like David Schroeder, he knows how bad the Democratic Party is. I know because I follow his work. He writes about it all the time. But then he will tell you, vote for him anyway. That's just so frustrating to me. That's so frustrating because that what misleads the good faith acting people. I don't like to punt down.
That's what Bernie did.
Yeah,
that's what Bernie did because all the campaign, you told us how terrible it was, and you told us that Joe Biden wanted to cut Social Security. Now you want us to vote for the guy that wants to cut our Social Security?
Makes no sense.
Like, it doesn't make no sense. But this is the reason why I think real leftists, and I'm talking about, people like Ajuma Baraku, he's not. You're not a leftist if you're in a party at all. Like, these conversations I've even talking about, like, that's not even possible because you don't even understand the depths and levels of how much these parties are actually equal. They're the same.
Yeah, that's like, we cannot let these people get away. And also, I do remember this as well. David Schroeder was also one of the people that was lying about forced to vote as well. So I actually side-eye these people more. And if you watch my work, I try to be consistent on this. I may have been guilty a few times. Well, I try not to blame people who vote for Joe Biden. I mean, like, the average person. Mm-hmm. But if you in our position, and you guys see how relentless and ruthless I am to these people. If you know Biden's record, like David Schroeder did, like Bernie Sanders did, if you know his record and you still told people he was the lesser two evils, that's shady. That's and then apparently someone leave a comment. David Schroeder's wife is a Democratic Party politician. So David Schroeder makes a lot of money writing about how evil the Democrat is.
You see?
But when
you see the grift of you see the grift of, I'm not saying him, but just the concept of being critical, using the voice of the people to where you are able to accurately analyze it and talk about it, and people are going to gravitate to you, and then you just go ahead and just continue doing the same thing that's not going to solve any of the problems that you've correctly diagnosed. You see what I'm saying? The problem there is, I don't believe, this is the reason why I say rich white people should not be the mouthpieces of this movement, because they're willing to compromise. Like, what did we say this earlier? Like, it's coming up again. Like, they're willing to compromise. So go ahead. Sorota was on TYT agreeing with Cenk during FTV. I didn't know that. I don't necessarily follow him anyway that closely, but I didn't know that part.
Yeah, he was also on Jimmy Dore, and he was arguing that Kevin McCarthy could be speaker if you forced the vote, which is a lie. So, like, when you do stuff like that, like, what are you doing that for? So you can make money bashing Democrats, but you will never tell people to lead the Democratic Party. You will never tell them to take actions outside the Democratic Party. Now and if I'm sounding nitpicky here, do y'all see the damage this does though? When you know the crimes that they do, but you still try to mislead people. Anyway, so I'm gonna move on.
What do you think about this question, though? What do you think about this question before we move to? Is this part of the same topic? Let me see.
I got something else there, but let's see.
Go ahead.
Question.
Go ahead.
No, so is a revolution achievable without the social community infrastructure to support it. I could always learn more history. I can always learn more, but I don't see how it's possible, right? Like every revolution that I know of came from having that strong infrastructure there. I don't know. Maybe I can always learn more.
Maybe he's asking, can it? Maybe if we just go a little more into the question, let me assume more into the question that he's asking. So, if you're saying, can a revolution get started without an infrastructure? Yes. Can it be sustained? No. So, for example, if something happens, like if they drop an atomic bomb, that'll get people out in the streets. There's no infrastructure built yet. But people will be out there and they'll be, okay, this shit need to change. We need a revolution. Now let's start building this infrastructure so we can maintain this. Just like what happened to the George Floyd. There was no... Yeah, so I'm reading more into the question. I don't know if this person was asking that.
Now.
Yeah.
I understand the question a lot better now. And my answer is no. Absolutely not. There's no way we can have a revolution. And I'll tell you guys why. In Colombia, when Ivan Duque was cracking down on protesters, because, by the way, we support the Colombian government. The Biden administration, our neoliberal state, support the Colombian government, ran by Ivan Duque, one of the most corrupt people ever. And this is a government that is literally ran by drug cartels. Like, Colombia is about as corrupt as it comes. The United States support that, though. So because the United States support this Colombian puppet state, they are turning towards neoliberalism, and they started imposing regressive taxes on their people, which we already pay. But when that happens in the global South, they like, what the fuck are you talking about? And they immediately hit the streets. So when Ivan Duque proposed this regressive tax on his people, they immediately had a general strike. I'm not talking about they out on street protests. I'm talking about a general strike. I covered it on my show. I had questions like, how the fuck did they get a general strike started? And the West was kind of lying about this, right? I was talking to one of my friends, Isha, and I was talking to a few communists. I read a story. The only reason why they was able to get this general strike started, and they never told you this in the West, is because fucking like half the country are communists.
They already have the structure set up. Yeah, they already have the structure set up.
And my friend,
they already have the structure in place. That is a fucking... You see what we need? More we need.
Yeah,
they have that many. So this, I didn't know this part. So they're mostly communist there, or is there a large segment that's communist there?
Yeah. So my friend was telling me that she's one of the people that to my left that convinced me to become a communist. Right, one of the main people I would talk to a lot. So she didn't like my coverage of the Colombian. It was actually funny. She didn't like my coverage of it because I was covering the Colombian protests, and I was, and at the time, you guys watched the old video on the FHL. I was like, they had a spontaneous general strike. And then she reached out to me on Twitter because we friends. She was like, no, Nick, it wasn't a spontaneous general strike. It's because they were communists and they already had the infrastructure in place. I was like, oh shit, I didn't know that. Thank you for telling me. That was the truth. So in America, you got people called social democrats who are scared to call themselves communists. There's so much concessions to capitalism. There's still people that relying on capitalist unions. Like people like, oh, we can have a general strike. We don't have unions. So you're going to sit here and wait until we have fucking unions on board? So you see there's a lot of revolutionary undiscipline in the West. People who can't even call themselves anti-capitalist, right? But they think they're going to start a general strike. So that's why now that I understand the question better, my answer would be no. Because that's a real life example of how that happened. The real life example is they got their general strike started just like this because they already had an organizational structure. I need to learn how South Korea got their general strike. They had a general strike like 2 years ago. We'd love to see how they got it done too. I don't know a ton about South Korea. But anyway, I want to move on to this other part of the story, right? Because we were talking about Biden privatizing Medicare, right? And we've been highlighting this for a while on the channel. Why are the progressives allowing him to just abandon all campaign promises? Now, I know what some people will say. They will say, oh, what can they do? What can they do? Well, one thing you can do is at least not fucking praise him and say he's doing better than expected. That's one thing you can do, for one. But you notice when we had our March for Medicare for All, forced to vote, as some of you guys talking about how David Stroll betrayed us on, where was the squad during forced to vote? Where was they when it came to March for Medicare for All? Nowhere. because doing those things will put pressure on the establishment. Do you guys want to see what these fucking charlatans are doing now? Look at this. This is beyond hilarious. So these people decided to take. Hold on, let me see. Can I read this one? I think they said I got one. How do I take this off? Fuck.
Is it like a little ad thing? Oh, there it goes.
Fuck, that shit was. I could not take that off. But anyway, fuck. I might have to find my this. That's why I hate these websites, man. How you take this off?
Yeah.
Anyway, I find the tweet version. It's okay. I find the tweet version because god damn, I hate these websites so much. So I tweeted about it. Here it is. So here's my tweet. I got to share this version because god damn, I hate these websites so much. Anyway, so this is so we had a March for Medicare for All in over 50 cities. We could have forced a vote that could have put Nancy Pelosi's political position at jeopardy. But you know what? You want to know when progressives decided to put Medicare for All back on the table? When we have no negotiation power. So this is the story. Progressives want to put Medicare for All back on the table. So isn't it hilarious? This is my tweet. I said now, like, isn't it hilarious how progressives, they completely abandoned Medicare for All. They completely abandoned the outside game. Pramila Jayapal said, if we march for Medicare for All, if we force the vote on Medicare for All, it will be the end of our movement. She said that with a straight fucking face. But now, we got midterms. Guess what they want to put back on the table? Now, are they going to put it up to the vote? Nah. So listen to this. This is even funny. Led by Cori Bush and Carolyn Maloney. Who the fuck is that? So, led by Cori Bush and Carolyn, who the fuck is that Maloney? So, it didn't say led by AOC. It didn't say led by Rashida Tlaib. It didn't say led by Ilhan Omar. So you had three of the original squad who won their seats on Medicare for All. They're not even signed on this fucking virtual signal, apparently. They didn't even start this virtual signal. And they said they want to hold a hearing on how, so we're going to examine paths to get to universal health care. So the progressives, in the middle of a pandemic, they're not going to vote for health care. They want to have another hearing on paths on how we can get to guys. I have a suggestion for all the people who are curious about the path we need for universal health care. Oh no, we have a ton of other countries who have single payer. Maybe we look at see how they did it instead of having these hearings. What the fuck are you talking about? A hearing? CJ, what are your thoughts? I got a lot to say about this.
No, I'm just listening to what you're saying and what you've been describing the last few minutes, and I'm hoping so much, Nick, that we're able to use the global South as an example of what we need to do, because for them to have what we thought by our eyes is a spontaneous general strike, but that shit was all set up because they built out an infrastructure. That is a real left. That is a real left, and I would love for that to come to America.
So I had something very interesting to show you guys. So we explained how Joe Biden lied about giving us a public option. We marched for Medicare for All. Maybe the squad like, oh, I really do need Medicare for All, right? So they're like, oh, what can they do though? Nick, you just being hard. What can they do, right? What can they do? I want to show you guys this video. You guys may have seen it. One of my friends posted it in my mention, so I had to share with you guys. So this is AOC on Medicare for All before she was elected. So I want you guys to see this comparison here.
What the Bronx and Queens needs is Medicare for All. We can do it now. It takes political courage. Start bringing the ruckus on the Democratic Party. That is our job. It's great that everyone thinks these issues are important. We need to make them urgent. This country has only ever changed for the better by groups of people that were willing to put everything on the line for a better future. That's how we got the civil rights movement, the women's rights movement. That's how we got the labor movement, queer rights and marriage equality. It didn't happen by people playing it safe. We have to give it all we got. Don't people realize that the most powerful position you can be in is when you are not materially attached to a position of power? If you're a one-term Congress member, so what? You can make 10 years worth of change in one term if you're not afraid. Democratic Party does not do more unless it is pushed. So we need to push them. And they don't like it. I think I annoy them, but but that is our job. That's our job. All of Washington is not incentivized, on the whole, not incentivized to work in actually expediting guaranteed healthcare in the United States. Now, does that mean it's not going to happen? Absolutely not, because mass movement organizing can force it to happen.
My friend put that in his mentions, in my mentions, and I have not seen that video. I did not see that video until I saw that. And when I see that video,
that's like a different person. That's like a different person.
How could anyone give her benefit of the doubt after seeing how she used to talk and now how she talks now? I would love to see how AOC fans defend this. Like, I swear to God, look at people opposing pins. I don't even see people try it anymore. I don't see it.
People have talked themselves into believing that how she talks now is the same thing. She's just more polished, is how they want to call it. Oh, she's just more polished because she wants, she has to talk this way because she wants a committee assignment. She wants leadership. So her language, it's this buying into, it's the moving. It's like they moved the Overton window together. It's like, let's go on this trip together by moving this. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
let's see. Do I have anything else? I think this segment is pretty much wrapped up. Last thing I want to say, because you guys see, and this is to wrap the segment up, right? So they are now putting Medicare for all back on the table, and I think I already see a lot of people in the comments. This is the point we was gonna make, because this is an election year. On an off election year, when we was marching for Medicare for all last year, that was 2021. They didn't show up. They didn't show up then. But now that they're in election, they're going to ask you guys to donate to them, because there's a chance we can get Medicare for all if we get more Democrats elected. Now, we have a super majority in California, a Democrat, a ton of progressive Democrats, and you guys didn't get Medicare for all then. So why would you guys think you get more Medicare for all just because you vote for Democrat harder? That is what they're going to try to tell you. And what they're doing is as malicious and as evil as what anyone in Washington does. And I'm talking about Mitch McConnell. I'm talking about Ted Cruz. I'm talking about Joe Biden. Because they take money for corporations. And if you're dumb enough to donate to Mitch McConnell, you're a dumbass, right? But they take money for corporations. Like, all right, we take money for corporations. We're going to represent corporations. What progressives do, they're asking for poor people to donate to them. And then they're going to abandon you. My question is, how is that not worse than what Mitch McConnell does? At least Mitch McConnell, like, yo, I take corporate money and I'm going to represent corporate America. But anyway, CJ, I want to get you in here. Kyle said you got something you want to share, so I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, because since we're closing up the segment and we're talking about all the reasons why we should not be supporting the Democratic Party. If you're still not convinced, listen to this person speak about one of the top priorities, in my opinion, for the Black community, and that's defund the police.
The other thing that's weighing on people right now is rising crime. And there appear to be some divisions among Democrats about how to handle it. Your colleague, Karen Bass, running for mayor of Los Angeles, is trying to increase the police force in LA. Cori Bush, Congresswoman from Missouri, is saying it's time to defund the police. She's sticking by that. You're the speaker. How do you think Democrats should address rising crime?
Well, with all the respect in the world for Cori Bush, that is not the position of the Democratic Party.
Like that? Not the position of the Democratic Party. And then Joe Biden went on his SOTO, his State of the Union, and said, we don't need to defund the police. We need to fund the police more. And all the white people cheered. So I just don't understand. This party is terrible. We need to split from the party. Stop supporting them. They're not supporting you. And now food prices are about to go up and hit everybody.
Yep, and
So, yeah.
Revolutionary Blackout Network has been blacklisted by many people in politics because our position is not like, oh, if you vote for Democrat, we have a difference of opinion. My take is if you vote for Democratic Party, you are actively contributing to destroying our community. Mm-hmm. And the reason why people refuse to debate me, I've been asking. Like I saw Jackson Hinkle, he get a ton of debates. Haas, he get a ton of debates. But I have been asking people to debate me on this shit for about 2 years now.
They're not.
I've been asking people to debate me on defund the police. They don't do it. Because what happened when you got a black man that's telling you that by voting for a Democratic Party, and I got receipts, you got to explain why you vote for this party. No one can do it. No one can do it. Voss did it like a while back. He got me like 1,000 subscribers on my channel. And then they were like, never ever platform this motherfucker ever again. Because I went off. I didn't know debate tactics back then, so I kind of went off on them. And they were like, oh, Nick, just an angry black dude. But there were a lot of people who vibe with that shit. So after that, people were like, do not platform this motherfucker because we don't want to blow them and their network up because they expose us, right? So I would love for someone to explain how this shit is a lesser two evil. Because I love that you play that video, CJ, because it transitioned just perfectly, right? Let's check this out. So we had to vote for Joe Biden. We had to vote for the Democratic Party. We had to defeat Trump. But Trump don't give a fuck about the people. And if you get Democrats elected, we will give you COVID relief. We will handle and take control of this virus. That's what they told you. Now they're pretty much doing the same strategy of Trump and the Republicans, where they're like, oh, we're going to pretend COVID's not a thing anymore. We're not giving people health care. We don't give a fuck. But it's even more insidious than that. Do you realize that? Because not only do they run under the guise they're going to take care of people, unlike the Republicans in COVID, they use that as a ploy to get political capital. Oh, Joe Biden cares. Joe Biden's the one with empathy. The Democratic Party is the party of the working class people. So then they passed the American Rescue Plan, which was sold, and I include, by the way, look it up. Bernie Sanders praised it. Yeah, AOC praised it. Every single progressive that we told you sold us out praised it. Nick, oh my God, you guys are so red. You guys are so crazy with your rhetoric. Once again, I back up every single fucking thing I'll say on this show. So these same people sold us out to the police state because they praised the American Rescue Act. And you guys want to know what the Democratic Party is doing? Nancy Pelosi told you the position of the Democratic Party, we are here to expand the police state. We don't believe in defund the police. So remember that American Rescue Plan that progressives praised? It's a money grab. Billions in COVID relief is going to fund police and prisons. My question, and I'm asking everyone this shit, and you will never see me in a debate because they won't be able to answer it. How is this not worse than what Republicans do? Like Republicans, I don't give a shit about you guys. We're gonna fund the police more and the military more. This is what it is. If you vote for me, you're a dumbass. If you vote for me, you're a dumbass. Because I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. Democrats are like, well, we're gonna pass the American Rescue Plan. We're gonna save families. Black lives were left behind under Donald Trump. We're gonna protect black lives. And then they take the money that they use, that they sold, is going to take care of you and your family, and now they're giving it to the police. So this is the sub-headline. Less than 2 years after racial justice protests sparked calls to defund the police, Joe Biden got elected. He's like, bro, I'm gonna clean this shit up. I made a joke on a long time on Twitter where Joe Biden was like looking at Trump like, you a fucking amateur. You can't squash this rebellion. Joe Biden was like, bro, I'm gonna show you how this shit's done. And he did. He did. Joe Biden is looking down at Donald Trump. The Democratic Party was looking down at Donald Trump because they was like, man, you're a horrific manager of the establishment. You got people protesting you. Right. What kind of fucking amateur are you? Let me show you how this shit's done. Word of protest. Jim Crow Joe did exactly what he wanted to do. I have something else to show you guys because it gets even crazier. But I want to get CJ's take before I continue. You have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I can't believe that. I'm curious. Like the same question come up that you're sort of posing, and that is, I'm curious to know. So, what do you have to say about this? Like, what do you have to? Yeah, what do you have to say about this? So, COVID relief funds. Now, does the article say like, is this like leftover funds, and they just kind of sending it to how are police departments getting the COVID funds?
Let's dive into this. But pretty much they're taking money that was supposed to go to relief, because this money is supposed to go to local governments, and that way they can provide treatments, they can provide facilities and ways to take care of the people, right? Instead of doing that, instead of giving money to schools to help them combat COVID, they're giving it to the police, right?
They're diverting the money to another place because they're saying, "Oh, look at crime, so we need to divert." That's what's happening, pretty much.
Yeah, I got another headline I'm sharing, and we can dive into it. Maybe answer some more questions. But you want to see how ridiculous this is? This is the quote unquote Democrat supermajority in California. The LAPD is one of the most criminal organizations in the world. Criminal. Do you guys want to know what's going on in an area that's controlled by Democrats? And I literally could not believe this. I didn't find another source when my friend told me this. That's why I dug at this tweet for someone I don't even follow. I was like, bro, there's no way that's true. So over half of the COVID-19 relief funds that was sent to the city of Los Angeles under the American Rescue Plan quietly went to the pockets of police officers. What? This is crazy. Meanwhile, people are still trying to run from defunded police. I don't give a fuck. Even if someone found a better slogan, I'm like, no, we still don't run from the fiscal conversation. The police is taking half of COVID relief funds, but you motherfuckers, a lot of white people are scared to use the term defunded police. We should be pressing these motherfuckers on why this is happening, not punting the ball. Once again, using language. How do we frame the issue? Why are there so many boutique left that punt the ball on this? As if talking about the funding and fiscal part of policing is not favorable in our situation. Do you guys know? And I know you guys know because you guys are my audience. I repeated it before. But the Ukrainian military is smaller than the NYPD police budget. That's 3 times smaller than the North Korean military budget. But you cowards, the progressive cowards, want to run away from this issue? Are you out of your mind? This is the most effective argument we have. But they want to run away from it. They don't want to talk about the fiscal conversation. Oh, we should talk about reform. No, fuck your reforms. I want to take their money. Are we clear? They're taking COVID relief funds. And the question I have to you guys in the audience, I know all you motherfuckers watch a lot of independent media. How many independent media is covering a story like this? How many independent media does a story on police funding every fucking day? Every time I do a stream, I can't speak to everyone here. Every time I do a stream, especially on my own, I cover policing at least once. There's a story. Go ahead, look at my channel. My social media, every fucking stream I talk about this. On RBN, we are the only channel that is talking about this insane police state that is developing. Even Jimmy Dore was like, oh, I don't think defund the police is a good slope. What? Like, what are we doing? Why is RBN the only people calling this shit out? And
and they're fine, Nick. Just because what you're pointing out, this article points out, is that they're fine with the slogan defund as long as it's not police. They're fine with defund school lunches to pay for the police, defund COVID relief funds to pay for the police, defund public education to pay for the police, defund city clinics to pay for the police. Anything that has to do with helping the people, we're fine with defunding that as the pot for the police goes up. So people are fine with the concept of defunding something to fund something else. It's just that they're defunding things that in their mind or white people or the dominant culture is fine with the flow of money out of our neighborhoods to the pockets of police. They're fine with that. But somehow it's a problem to reverse that flow. Because I see as this money is not even there. So if this was part of the defund plan, Nick, this is not really even defunding. This is you refunding me my money. It's so absurd. It's done quietly.
And CJ, and we've been talking about this. We talk about it in private too. I done segment explain the escalation of the police state, right? And I found this because every single fucking day they release a new defund the police hit piece. Now we got a ton of people who are independent media, and the job of independent media is to debunk mainstream propaganda. isn't it interesting how a lot of white leftists, they can debunk shit when it comes to Medicare for all. When it comes to like cancel student loan debt, they'll be quick to challenge the corporate media narrative. But when it comes to the policing, and I talked about this before, you have Kyle Kalinske just repeating bullshit from mainstream media. I remember I watched that stream with you and Sabby. I was like fucking furious when Kyle Kalinske was like, "Well, defund the police is technically not only 1 out of 5 Americans support it." That's a lie. That's a lie. I debunked that many times on the show. He used the right-wing poll that was already misleading, which actually did not ask about defund the police. You guys?
Who cares? Who cares if we polled slavery in 1816? What do you think it's gonna get? If we when you take the polling of civil rights, they was trying to get them to stop using civil rights too.
Kyle Kalinske would have been
same. It's the same sort of tactics, Nick. They were trying to get the movement not to use the term civil rights. They were trying to label other names. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Because they know any movement understands how framing is, how just words that you're using, what you name your organization, the Black Panther Party, strategic. Like you have to understand that, and running away from the term defund the police, that is such a great, not even slogan, that is such a great demand. We have to keep that as a slogan also.
And they knew it was good. So I don't get the people benefit that. I think they knew what they was doing. If it was in the 1800s, Kyle would be like, man, asking for slavery, isn't that kind of divisive?
Yes.
I tell you, man.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
And
you have to use slavery, Nick, when you're debate. Use the analogy slavery, because that's what points out how ridiculous their fucking argument is. Like, well, okay, let's use this with slavery. Use your argument with slavery. Let's do the force to vote. We have a speaker who's coming up who's for slavery. She's a proponent of slavery. We have these abolitionists, who we call progressives today, over here is saying you're against slavery. So why aren't you forcing the vote on a speaker who's for slavery? You get what I'm saying? So we can use the same sort of analogy. So here we got some great comments in there.
Yeah, let's
I'm gonna toss some up as you talk. I'll toss some up there as you talk, because we got some great comments.
I'm pretty much out of story, so we can go through some comments. But I
also want to cover the global South. That's a short story though, so we can cover some comments and then get to that as the last story there.
All right, I'm trying to find my receipt because here it is. Here's just one of them. I found this quickly. I think this pretty much does the job because you guys did the video and I didn't get to respond to it. I think I responded later, but anyway, I want you guys to understand what Kyle and the progressives have done, because I seen Kyle say this, I seen Crystal say this. I seen a lot of the people who way bigger than us, who dominate progressive media, say this shit. Hell, I even seen Jimmy Dore say it. Defund the police is not popular. What poll? So these people are media critics. These people, and the thing is, they is irrelevant, CJ. But
that's irrelevant.
It also showed their mindset, because they are wrong. They're also wrong. So these people made their name. Kyle Kalinske made their name being a media critic. And I used to watch his old video. He used to do a good job debunking like anti-Medicare for all talking points, right? But suddenly, it's interesting to me, these white leftists, their critical thinking against the media immediately flies out of the window whenever it's something that has nothing to do with them. So whenever there's some anti-black shit, their media critic brain completely disappears. So Kyle, who would like go over every single poll on like healthcare, but he saw one poll that was ran by a right-wing site, he immediately, no critique of it, immediately read it off on his show with a ton of subscribers as if it was fact. Guys, do you guys understand how much this shit hurts our movement? So here's debunking Kyle's bullshit. Kyle was like, only 1 out of 5 people support defund the police. So for one, the poll he used, they was asking a mostly conservative, like 65% of the people poll was conservatives already. And then they said, do you support the defund the police movement? And because Americans are propaganda, they're like, oh, well, I don't like that, 1 out of 5. So this is the real poll, because this is when they ask the real question. And I have noticed, CJ, they have not asked this question in like maybe 6 months. I have been looking.
They know not to ask that shit, Nick. They know not to ask that shit.
You goddamn right. So I love that you said that, CJ, because
oh man, these people telling on themselves.
Yep. And once again, Kyle Kalinske Jimmy Dore, they didn't pick up on this when they used to say shit like defund police is unpopular, right? So they will repeat that poll uncritically. They will lose their media critic brain and repeat the fact that 1 out of 5 people support defunding police. So now I'm gonna read you the real way you asked this question. And look at when I reported this. I'm gonna go back to the tweet. I reported this January 17th of last year. So this information has been readily available. Not only has this information been readily available, they have not done a similar poll since then. I know I have been looking because I search defunding police almost every fucking day. Every day I look and they don't report on this shit because they stopped. There's like multiple polls that show that people support this, and then they realize, oh shit, we gotta find a honest way of framing it, and they ran out of ways. Like even with the dishonest framing, people were like, oh, I still support that. So let me read the debunking here. So a majority of voters want to reallocate funds from their local police budget to crime prevention initiatives such as counseling, drug treatment, and job training and education, aka exactly what we are asking from at 10 demands. 74% of Democrats and 55% independents agree with what we are asking for on 10 demands. Did Kyle report it like this? No. So why am I bringing this up? Because we don't have a giant platform. I haven't had a giant platform. We have been on the front line of this, and I'm seeing this get worse. I'm seeing the police get more funding, taking COVID relief funds. I'm seeing people coming out in mass to support police budgets, and I'm talking about like in the establishment, right? And I feel like, and this is my personal opinion, because as someone who follows independent media, even media I like, I see no one covers this except Black people. It's almost like all our allies are like, you guys are on your own on this issue. Not only you guys on your own, you guys are like, oh, actually, we're gonna support like the talking points of the neoliberals. So this is why I'm gonna continue to cover this.
But do you see the fundamental problem? I'm gonna keep pointing this out. You see the fundamental problem with rich white leftists being the voices that this keeps popping up, that they are not addressing very important issues, or their take on very important issues is wrong because there's no interest in it. It doesn't hit home to them. So there's no interest in a lot of issues. And I'm sure there's a lot of communities, Nick, that bring this up. We're bringing it up because we're Black, so we're talking from this perspective. But I'm sure other communities, the LGBTQIA community is probably saying the same thing. Like, they're not addressing this. You get what I'm saying? So it's the same sort of problem. The left media and left in general, it's the same problem where you have a bunch of white voices with money who's leading the conversation, and there's a whole bunch of shit that's being left out that affects the marginalized people.
So the last thing I say, and then we can get to some comments, and then you can do your story, whatever order you want to do it, CJ.
Okay.
So I have, and this is the good news. You don't get that a lot, RBN, right? So I reported on this before, but this is for new viewers, right? So when the George Floyd protest started, defund the police. Once again, I look at all the polls. I knew all the polls at heart. I can show you this one too. I tweeted about it. Defund the police was minus 35. I saw that poll like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, we're fucked. We're fucked. So I was like, damn, there's so many people that propagandize minus 35. That way it was when it first started. Maybe I'll show you guys the receipt on this too. And then we went from minus 35 to, you guys saw the poll that I just read, right? 55% independents, 75% Democrats. And I wish I had more numbers to give you, but they don't share it. You want to know another interesting tidbit I found? Dive into poll numbers. You would never hear this from the establishment. Do you know like 1 out of 4 Republicans support defunding the police? 1 out of 4 Republicans. You would never know that. I think
so. Those are Republicans who understand real conservatism. Yeah, and I'm not a conservative, but they get it. They know that, no, I'm a conservative. That means I need to conserve. And they're not. The dividends ain't coming back on this payment here. We're paying you here, but you're only solving these amount of crimes. Like, this is not conservatism.
They are the real ones. They are the only people that actually adhere to fiscal conservatism, right? So at least they honest about their ideology. Because if you look at the poll breakdown, it was like I don't remember the exact number, but it was around the same ballpark. It was like 12% strongly support, 13% unsure, which is overall leads up to 25%. That's you would never know that. Like, if you only listen to white independent media and corporate media, I gotta put both of them into, because their coverage on this issue has been not essentially the same. And I'm doing this segment because I'm getting very frustrated because I'm seeing us lose this propaganda battle. And RBN, I am very happy about our growth, very, very happy about our growth, right? But we still nothing in the political scene. We are a speck of dust in political discourse.
Yeah,
I swear to God, we are the only people I see actually cover this issue the right way. The only ones. And it drives me crazy. So the last positive thought I was about to share was we went from negative 35 to now most independents supported, most Democrats supported. And I want you guys to understand that we did this despite
all the propaganda.
the progressive joining them. When you see all the progressives like Bernie Sanders, when you see Kyle Kalinske and Crystal Ball, who has a platform that is magnitudes bigger than ours, right? They was repeating anti-defund the police propaganda, but we still like skyrocketing in the polls. And I want you guys to think about this. That poll was done in the summer of 2019. 2020? Fuck. 2020. Getting old. Losing track of my years. Summer of 2020, right? So in 2 years, we've seen this policy jump by like 40 points. I dare you guys to name me one policy, even including Medicare for all, including canceling student loan debt, including increasing the minimum wage, that jumped up 40 points in 2 years. When has that ever happened?
And now you know why you're not seeing any polls on it.
Now you know.
Any current polls on it.
And why do you think? I'm trying to see if I can find the receipt on the old. If I look at 538, I think I can find it. I'm gonna search 538 because David Silver's website was the one who did that poll, and I remember when that poll first came out. Here it is. Once again, I tweeted this out December 2020. Because this is really the last time I'm gonna read on this one. But so this is the receipt. Because I covered this. I didn't have a channel that was big. This is why I was extremely frustrated because I'm seeing this giant thing that's happening that no one is reporting on. That's why I'm glad that RBN is starting to grow. Because now at least some people can see it. I was like streaming this to maybe like 20 people. So according to 538 this June, 58% of Americans oppose defund the police. According to and they did a post-election polling. I can't wait to see them do it again in 2022. I don't think they will. But after the 2022 election, they was asking people about defunding police because they thought they would be able to use it to attack them. That's why you saw all these polls. That's why you know I've been reporting all of these right after the election. And then once they realized the polls switched, they stopped asking that question, right? So I said the new polling trying to paint defund the police as unpopular, but we literally gained massive ground. I think I posted here's the original article. I come with all the receipts. Like here's the original article that showed how defund the police started off as unpopular. Let's see if I can find it quickly. See, here's the oppose, right? Now, here's the new numbers. And as I go through this, I'm asking you guys, why have any other independent media haven't reported on this? I'm asking. I'm legitimately asking. So, and even then, this headline is a lie. You see how Poster suggests Democrats should steer clear of defund the police. And when they say this, he put this in as quotation marks for a reason, because they were saying, "Oh, the slogan is misleading," right? But when you actually dive in, and you gotta like dive into this article when they ask people, let's see if it's been a while since I read this one. Let's see. Anyway, sorry, I don't want to find the exact part. I'll go back to my tweet. But yeah, those are the new numbers, and that's the numbers I report. I don't want to go through all that because we actually do want to move on to CJ. But the point is, I have the source here. There was multiple polling that was done after the election where you can find this. I have my tweet where I can show this. No one else is talking about it. The same people just want to talk about, oh, defund the police is an unpopular slogan. And when I talked to Garland Nixon about this, I asked him about that because that was our debate, and he disagreed with me on that. I'm like, how can you say something is unpopular when the slogan literally increased the popularity of it? No one have yet to give me the answer yet. But anyway, sorry I went on for a while.
But but still, to me, that's an irrelevant point. Asking the popularity, getting rid of interracial marriage, like laws that prevented that prohibited interracial. That was also polled low. Desegregation polled low. Civil rights polled low. So what does that mean? So it doesn't mean anything to me that something is polling low, especially when the people taking the poll are propagandized by corporations. Like, what does that do? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't get it. But anyway, so this next story, I stumbled upon this, and this is actually the reason why I originally was going to do a stream, because I wasn't going to do a stream today. I stumbled upon this Global South activist. Her name, I think it's Francia Marquez is how you pronounce it, but she's great. And this is the only sort of English conversation she has. That's the reason why I'm even showing PBS, because they're pretty terrible in their funding. So I'm only showing it because this is really the only source that's in English. So here we go. I'm going to stop and start, but I want, what we need to start doing, Nick, is exposing leftists here to leftists internationally, so they can see that we need to get our game, step our game up. Because we just telling them, yelling at it, hey, this bullshit. What y'all doing here? They just think we just yelling and ridiculous. But when we're showing them, and this is the reason why I want to show this story. So let's listen for a few minutes about who she is.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. We end today's show with an exclusive broadcast interview with the Afro-Colombian environmental activist Francia Marquez Mina, who's just been
Francia. So I want to make sure I say it right. Francia.
Picked by the Colombian presidential frontrunner Gustavo Petro to be his running mate. If they win in May's election, Marquez would become Colombia's first Black female vice president. Marquez is a prominent land and water defender, was her opposition to illegal gold mining that led to death threats, forcing her to flee her home. In 2018, she won the prestigious Goldman Environmental Prize. I spoke to her in February while she was in New York. At the time, she was running for president, but lost in the primary to Petro. I asked her why she was running for office.
Well, I think that more than making history, we are giving impetus to the idea that in Colombia, a new form of government is possible, governance that is built up from the Black, indigenous, and peasant peoples, from the very different sectors of the community, LGBTIQ+, from the youth, from the women, from the small farmers of Colombia, those who have been no one, that is to say, who've never had a voice in the government, who have never had a voice in order to put forward our grievances as a people. And today we need to put forward the nobodies, the people who've never had a voice, to step into the state so that we can write our own history, a history that would make it possible to live with dignity, with justice, with equity, with equality, that would enable each and every one of us to turn the page of violence, of the armed conflict, and to pursue agenda of social justice.
If you can talk about what that social...
I mean, I'm going to let you listen to the second question too, but I mean, I don't know if she's real yet because I don't know enough information, or if she's a plant, because she is a pick by, obviously the person who picked her to be the running mate knew that this person's popularity would help them, right? So the front runner, I think I forget his name, but he picked her as a VP. There were opponents in the primary in the campaign, and he picked her. And she's this activist, and just some of the things that she's saying. And this next question is really what I want you to kind of listen to here.
Justice agenda would look like in Colombia.
What would a justice agenda look like in Colombia? Now listen and tell me if it sounds what we need here.
Justice.
If you can talk about what that social justice agenda would look like in Colombia.
Well, I think the first thing is that this government has destroyed the possibility of living in peace. And today, the most impoverished people, those who don't have drinking water, basic sanitation, education, internet connectivity, are the people who once again are suffering the brunt of the violence and the armed conflict. It's the social leaders who continue to be assassinated. The Constitutional Court has just recognized the unconstitutional state of affairs in terms of the failure of this government to implement the peace accords. So this situation of armed conflict and abandonment in terms of no social investment, that needs to be brought to a halt. It's not going to be brought to a halt by the privileged elites of white men who have historically governed our country. It's the people who need to step forward to press their grievances, and so it's necessary to work in depth to achieve peace. This means a dialogue with all of the armed actors who continue putting our lives at risk, including those who are part of the Colombian state, the military forces who continue to violate human rights. That means taking on the challenge we have as humankind today to bring a halt to the environmental crisis. And for that, we propose a transition from an extractive industries based investment policy to sustainable energy and to having a system of economic production that puts life at the center. That is why I have been proposing a program of agroecological productive projects, and with the idea of food sovereignty being the.
She is saying everything's so good. If she's elected, there's no way they're gonna let her stay in power, dude. There's no way that the United States is not going to try to get, they're going to try to get her out. There's no way. She is saying all of the right things. She's saying that all these, and the thing is, I'm cutting it short. Because she was in New York, because this is like a 20-minute interview. I don't want to do the whole thing. Maybe we can do it another special. She goes into, oh yeah, I'm in New York, and this is an international struggle. I'm seeing here that the Black people here are being targeted just like we're being targeted. Because she goes on and talks about how the Black people in Colombia are being targeted by what they call the paramilitary or something like that. They're being targeted, being shot, killed like kids. And he's like, now I'm in the United States and I'm seeing the same thing here. The police state here is murdering young Black people. Like, we have the same struggle. Like, she's had an assassination attempt. Her niece has been killed. Her 8-year-old niece was killed. She's the real deal. And and when I saw this, I was just so inspired. Like, this gave me hope, Nick. Like, this here, but this is the international part that we have to inject, because if we team up here with them over there having the same problem, look at the power that we have. Any thoughts, Nick?
Now compare her rhetoric to the politicians that we have here. Well, she was saying that we have to do this. The people have to govern ourselves. We can't rely on these rich white oligarchs. Now compare that to the U.S., where not only did they say we had to rely on rich white oligarchs, they told you to vote for them, and then they don't support your marches. They don't support none of your actions. So her message is, it's our power. We need to take it back. We need to start relying on white saviors. The message we get out of the U.S. left is, shut the fuck up, fall in line, trust in your white saviors. Now you guys see why we're frustrated? Like, when I talk to people in the global south, when I talk to my friend Josana, when I talk to many leftists in Asian countries as well, like Luna Oy, for example. Like, when I learn about the revolutionary discipline of Vietnamese communists, when I learn about how leftism is outside of this country, when you see how French protest, like when you see how they protest compared to us, that's when I really start becoming disillusioned with the U.S. progressive movement. The same way I became disillusioned with this country when I realized stuff like, oh, other countries have healthcare? Oh, shit, other countries don't have medical debt? Wow, they don't have a homelessness problem in this country because they provide homes? Like, that same thing is kind of what happened with me with progressives. When I discovered the alternative, when I learned what a true fucking communist is, when I truly see, like, they wanted to sacrifice their lives. Meanwhile, United States progressives can't even sacrifice their comfort. They can't even sacrifice the unsatisfactory feeling of having Republicans win, because that's all they are about against. They just didn't want Ben Shapiro and Donald Trump to win. That's it. They didn't want Ben Shapiro to celebrate. They didn't want Dave Rubin to celebrate. It's just a tribal game. Their life is not on line. They're going to be privileged no matter what. So that's my take. And this is why I advocate for building an international electors coalition, because we can only learn from these people. And it's my stance. And I think she's, based on what I heard from her, it seems like she understands this too. Like when you look at the global neoliberal alliances, when you see the UN, when you see NATO, when you see the UK and the US work together to imprison Julian Assange, how the fuck can how do anyone think that we're going to end capitalism with a movement that starts from California and end in New York? That doesn't make sense. Like that literally doesn't make sense to me. So my thing,
we're
I don't know
only 5% of the population here. Like how is that gonna change the world? Like that's not gonna change anything globally. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah.
Well, actually, let me just share this article. I'm not gonna read it. For those who want to know more about her, this is one of the English articles I did find. It's through the Guardian, but you can go read about her. Like some of the things they just talk about, like all of her, her background. They talk about, like her niece being killed. Like it's just amazing to me how she is still going forward after this, and she's been assassination attempts, and she's still moving forward. So yeah, but this is who we need to model, not specifically her, but the global South has got this shit popping, man.
Well,
they got this shit pop. Yeah, they got this shit popping, and we need to look to them, and as inspiration for here. So yeah, that's all I got on that story. Just wanted to bring her here.
We can do some chats and super chats now if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all I got.
We can do that to wrap the stream today. We'll do a quick Q&A, take some super chats. So let's see. See we just got one too. Let's see if I'll pull this one up. Thank you for the 499, Zach. Keep crushing it, guys. We are trying. We are for the people who haven't known, we hit over 1 billion views in less than a year.
Yeah.
Despite massive suppression, despite being blacklisted where we don't get exposure like other channels do. Like, despite all this shit, we still got 1 million views. We're still close to getting 15,000 subscribers before. We only like maybe 400 away, which is crazy, right? When you look at where we was beginning this year. So yeah, we're trying our best, man. Like we need, like this something that is needed. Like we talk about having a black network on my old channel all the time, and I do it because you guys heard me voice a lot of my criticisms of how stuff is covered. So I was like, man, I would love to see a black leftist network. Would love to see a black leftist network. Kept saying that shit over and over again. No black leftist network popped up. So I'm like, man, I guess I gotta be the fucking change I gotta see in the world apparently now. And I'm joining it. Like I literally watch CJ.
We have to do it.
I watch JB because I'm like, bro, I want to hear news from a black point of view. And I literally get it in my own channel. It's great, isn't it? So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all the support. We really do. Thank you for the $10. Cryptician, friend of the show. Always leave great comments. Shout out to Cryptician. Thank you for the $10. CJ and Nick, do y'all agree the things the Democrat Party been doing for the last 3 decades to us is equivalent to yelling and calling us N-words as loud as much as they can to the world? That's how I see it. I see exactly where you're coming from. Like we see I'm trying to think of the quote I was mocking the other day. Fuck, it's some crazy shit Joe Biden said. Shit. When you see them like lie about their campaign promises. Oh, I know. When Biden was like, "We're gonna fund the police more." You remember that on like his town hall or something like that. Like I tweeted something similar to that. Like that's the same as Joe Biden said. Fuck these niggas, man. Like if you guys you think I paying my wage, bro? You think I'm not?
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
You got anything you want to ask CJ? That's all I really have to say.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say necessarily it's the equivalent, but I get the gist of what you're saying, because for me, I always thought that the N word or saying nigga, to me, I never gave it the power that a lot of people give it. I don't think, like, I don't have the same outlook on it. I don't give words power, so to me, that word doesn't have a lot of power. So you know what I'm saying? Like I would rather you fund public schools right. Go ahead and call me nigga. Just fund the schools properly. Go ahead, call me nigga. Take your freaking slave patrol out of my neighborhoods. That's what I'm like. You get what I'm saying? Like I don't care. You're nice and you're worried about the N word, but all this other shit you're doing to like what the fuck? Like, so that's the point. Yeah.
You're a white dude, and you strongly oppose the N-word, but you strongly support giving the police more money.
That's the point. It's like that's not helping me. That's not helping me. That's not helping me. Yeah.
Now that you mentioned, I remember. I don't want to say his name. Let's call him Anthony. Like, that's close enough. There was this white kid named Anthony. Like, we were mostly a black in Mexican school. And this is again maybe 10% white people in my school. But Anthony, he was part of the basketball team, he played football with us. He was cool. He was just a white dude. He was saying, nigga, we never even thought about it. Like, looking back, like, he literally would say this shit, no one would ever bat an eye. So I guess it's like context play a lot, but I don't know. But anyway, let's go to the
next. Same thing for me. I grew up. I mean, even college years.
Anthony was around a number of black people.
Yeah.
He was around a number of black people. And now looking back at it now, I see people on Twitter, it's like, under no circumstance did a white person say N-word. I agree with you. I agree with that, especially now I'm older. But when we was younger, this dude Anthony, you said N-word. He was a bro. He's like, yeah, what's up, nigga? All this kind of shit. We didn't bat an eye. It's only, but then the white bro was like, say like, yeah, I ain't gonna die.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I have friends like that too. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna get to the super chat by Steve. Thank you for the $10. I agree. We need to build the capacity to wage revolution. Alternative to Nick's valid critique. Revolution is coming, ready or not. We offer a vision, means to the future, or the fascist will. So yeah, that's another alternative. I think he's responding to when I say that we can't have a revolution without organization, and this is a valid point of view, because maybe things get so bad, maybe people are like, I don't give a fuck. Let's do it. I personally don't think this can happen. I think we'll run around with like a chicken with our head cut off, and that revolution would be high. Like, look into the French Revolution. I read to the French Revolution. It sounds base as fuck. They kill a lot of oligarchs and shit, but then they did a revolution, and then they just turned that shit right back. They immediately went back to the monarchy. They immediately went back to the same thing that they revolted against. So I think even if we have revolution, even if we have social movement, if we have a social movement and revolution that is done without revolutionary discipline, without Marxist theory, we're going to end up in the same.
Without dual power, very important. When you're tearing down one system, you have to have dual power. It's where, you know, entities or whatever we're setting up to take over what those entities we want to get rid of. You know, whatever function they have, we need some way of still doing that. So that's what dual power is about. But anyway, we're gonna keep going if we don't shut this down. Is there any other super chats or comments? So we can shut this down.
Yeah, that's why you and that one last point super chat. That's why you see a lot of people, and I'm kind of leaning towards this as well. Like, you guys saw my position on anti-capitalist. Sorry, capitalist third parties. I'm not interested because what's the point of replacing you with someone with a system that we're gonna need to revolt against eventually anyway? That's a lot of people that I want to replace the establishment, but your system is gonna lead to more problems later, and that's what we don't want to happen. So anyway, I think Steve brought up a valid point, but that's my position. I think that's all the super chats, right? A lot of these other comments are kind of out of context. I think we can wrap there. Is there any other super chats on this? I think we're good.
No, I think that might be it. Let me.
So Savvy is streaming, and I think in an hour. Yeah,
very soon. Yes.
Yeah. So check her out. She'll be on RBN here soon. So we got more content coming for you guys. So make sure you guys continue to subscribe. We're super close in our goal, man. Super close.
Oh, that's what I was gonna put up. I have the number right here. I'm just gonna put it as a banner. Yeah, I'll put it as a banner. You can see it as you talk. So we're at 14,564 subscribers. We're trying to we're trying to get to 15,000 in 5-6 days. So we could do it. I don't know. Maybe we can try to do a special stream in the next couple of days, like 10-15 minutes, where we're just saying, hey, everybody, go and go and subscribe, or tell your friends to subscribe, or whoever. So but anyway, that's all I got, Nick, unless you got something else.
So I'm looking, Andrew, and I apologize, I do not see it. I'll try to do a better job reading A1 super chats. I'm trying to scroll up. I do not see it. Let's see. I will hate Andrew if he'll stripe it here. Let me scroll up a little bit more. You must have left this really early on the stream, my man. I don't see it. I apologize. I'm give it one more second. I will hate to leave you hanging. I don't see it. Oh, there it is. Here it is. Thank you. There it is. Thank you, Andrew. I found the super chat. Like, this must have been way earlier on. Can you guys cover the energy reform nationalization in Mexico? I can help you get someone from Marina to interview. I need to learn more about that. Like once again, I talk a lot of shit on here, but I talk shit about stuff I know about. Like I told you guys, when I say shit, I can back up everything I say. So on this, I gotta look into this and read more about it. But thank you for the suggestion, Andrew. Anything, CJ? Any last words? I think we got A1.
Yeah, I'm just
I don't
gonna
miss Andrew out there.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just gonna end. I want to end with a video as we fade out. Another video from the great chairman himself, just talking about revolution. We're gonna end with that video. So if you don't have anything else, Nick, I'll put it and then we can fade out.
Be good.
All right. So make sure you like everything here. Like, subscribe, Patreon. You can find us at Revolutionary Blackout. It's patreon.com/Revolutionary Blackout is the URL. So here is the chairman talking about revolution. And thank you. Make sure you tune into the Savvy Show coming up in about an hour.
But that's all right, because we said even before this happened, and we're going to say it after this, and after I'm locked up, and after everybody's locked up, that you can jail revolutionaries, but you can't jail a revolution. Right. You might run a liberator like Eric Cleave out the country, but you can't run liberation out the country. You might murder a freedom fighter like Bobby Hutton, but you can't murder freedom fighting. And if you do, you come up with answers that don't answer, explanations that don't explain. You come up with conclusions that don't conclude. And you come up with people that you thought should be acting like pigs, that's acting like people and moving on pigs. And that's what we've got to do. So we're going to see about Bobby, regardless of what these people think we should do. Because school is not important and work is not important. Nothing's more important than stopping fascism, because fascism